I would give anything to have her back.
There's a letter in my drawer. I've kept it locked away for 3 years now. Nobody knows it exists. Not my children. Not my grandchildren. Nobody. Margaret wrote it the night before she died. And what she asked me to do, well, it changed everything I thought I knew about love. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Joseph Hawkins. I'm 103 years old, and today, for the first time, I'm going to tell you what really happened. Pour yourself some coffee, sit down and listen close, because what I'm about to share might save your marriage, or at least make you hold your loved one a little tighter tonight. You see, people always ask me the same thing. Joseph, what's the secret to staying married for 75 years? And I used to smile. Give them some nice answer about patience and compromise. But that wasn't the truth. The truth is messier. The truth is darker. The truth is that Margaret and I almost destroyed everything we had. Not once, but 3 times. And the last time, well, that's why I have that letter. Let me take you back. Way back to 1945. I was 23 years old. Just got back from the war. Europe. I saw things over there that I still can't talk about. Not really. When you see that much death, that much destruction, you come home different, hollow, like something inside you got scooped out and never put back. My mother used to look at me across the dinner table with these worried eyes, like she was searching for her son in a stranger's face. I was working at my father's hardware store, going through the motions, existing but not really living. You know what I mean. Just breathing, eating, sleeping, but feeling nothing. Then one Saturday morning, she walked in. Margaret O'Connor. She needed sandpaper, of all things. She was refinishing her grandmother's old dresser, she told me. And when she smiled, I swear to you, it was like someone turned the lights back on inside me. Just like that. I know it sounds like something from a cheap romance novel, but it's the God's honest truth. She had these green eyes, like the forests I remembered from before the war. And when she looked at me, really looked at me, I felt seen for the first time in 2 years. Here's my first piece of advice. And write this down. When you meet someone who makes you feel like yourself again, who brings you back to life, don't let logic or fear talk you out of it. Don't wait. Don't play games. I asked her to dinner right there in aisle 3, between the hammers and the paintbrushes. My hands were shaking. She said yes. That was September 14th, 1945. We were married 4 months later. Everyone said we were rushing. You barely know each other. They said, wait a year, be sensible. You know what I told them. I told them I had already wasted enough time being dead inside. When you find life, you grab it with both hands. The first 10 years were like a dream. We were poor as church mice, but we were happy. We had our first daughter in 47, our son in 49, another daughter in 52. Margaret had this way of making a tiny apartment feel like a palace. She could make a meal out of practically nothing and have us all laughing round the table like we were at the finest restaurant in New York. She taught me something important during those years. It's not about what you have. It's about who you're with. Rich people forget that. They think money buys happiness. But I've seen wealthy men cry alone in their mansions. I've seen poor couples die happy in each other's arms. Money's nice, sure, but it's just paper. It burns. Love is what lasts. But here's what nobody tells you about long marriages. They're not always beautiful. Sometimes they're a battlefield. In 1962, we almost ended it. Almost threw away 17 years. I made a mistake. I'm not going to go into details, because that's between me and God and Margaret's memory. But I stepped outside our marriage in a way that broke her trust. I didn't cheat, not physically, but I gave attention and time to someone else that should have gone to my wife. I let someone else matter more than they should have. And Margaret found out. I'll never forget her face. She didn't yell. She didn't throw things. She just looked at me with such profound disappointment that I wanted to die right there. "Joseph," she said, "I thought you were different. I thought you understood." Then she packed a bag and went to stay with her sister. For 3 weeks, I didn't know if she was coming back. Those were the longest 3 weeks of my life. Longer than any battle I fought in the war. Here's what I learned. And this might be the most important thing I ever tell you. If you mess up, and we all do, don't make excuses. Don't explain it away. Don't minimize it. Own it completely. I drove to her sister's house, got down on my knees in the front yard. I don't care who was watching, and I told her the truth. I was an idiot. I was selfish. I hurt the best thing in my life. And if you give me another chance, I will spend every single day proving that I understand what I almost lost. She stood there for what felt like an hour. Then she said, "One chance, Joseph. Just one," and she meant it. I never took her for granted again. Not once. But marriage isn't just about surviving the big mistakes. It's about the daily choice. Every single day. You have to choose that person again. Every day. When she annoyed me, when I annoyed her, when money was tight, when the kids were screaming, when her mother came to visit for 3 weeks and criticized everything I did. Every single day I had to remember, I choose her, I choose us, and she chose me back. That's the secret, if there is one. It's choice, active, daily, deliberate choice. The years rolled by like they do. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. We watched our children grow up, make their own mistakes, have their own kids. We buried friends, too many friends. We celebrated anniversaries, argued about stupid things like what color to paint the kitchen. Made up, laughed, cried. Life, just regular, ordinary, extraordinary life. Then we got old. Really old. It sneaks up on you, aging. One day you're 45 and climbing mountains. The next day you're 75 and stairs feel like mountains. But we got old together, and that made it bearable. When my knees gave out, Margaret was there. When her memory started slipping, I was there. We became each other's walking sticks, each other's memory banks, each other's reasons to keep going. I remember when Margaret turned 95. We were sitting on our porch, watching the sunset, and she turned to me and said, "Joseph, I'm tired. Not sleepy tired. Soul tired." And I understood. I was tired too, but I said, "Well, we've made it this far. Let's see how the story ends." She smiled at that, took my hand. "Together," she said, "we ended together. But life doesn't always give you what you want. Life gives you what it gives you, and you deal with it." 3 years and 4 months ago, Margaret had a stroke. A bad one. The doctors gave me the news in that clinical, detached way they do. Massive cerebral hemorrhage. If she survives the night, the damage will be extensive. She might not recognize you. She might not be able to speak, to move, to be herself. I stood in that hospital hallway, under those horrible fluorescent lights, and I felt that same hollowness from the wall coming back. That darkness. She survived the night, and the next night, and the night after that. But the doctors were right. She couldn't speak anymore. The right side of her body was paralyzed. And worst of all, there was this confusion in her eyes, like she was looking at the world through foggy glass. Sometimes she knew me, sometimes she didn't. Sometimes she'd look at me with terror, like I was a stranger invading her space. Those moments were worse than if she'd died. We brought her home. I wasn't going to let her waste away in some facility. surrounded by strangers and the smell of disinfectant. Our bedroom became a hospital room. Nurses came during the day, but at night, it was just me and her. I'd hold her hand, talk to her about our life, our memories, hoping something would break through. Remember when we drove to California and the car broke down in Nevada? Remember that terrible motel with the cockroaches? Remember how we laughed until we cried? Sometimes I'd see a flicker of recognition. Sometimes nothing. 6 months. That's how long it lasted. 6 months of watching the woman I loved disappear piece by piece, moment by moment. And here's the thing nobody prepares you for. You start wishing for the end. Not because you don't love them, because you do. Because watching them suffer is worse than losing them. Every day I'd wake up and pray, God, if you're going to take her, please take her. Don't let her suffer anymore. Don't let her be trapped like this. Then I'd feel guilty for praying that. Guilty for wanting her gone. But also desperate for her peace. Then came the last night. March 17th. I remember because it was St. Patrick's Day, and Margaret always loved St. Patrick's Day. Irish heritage, you know. I was sitting in the chair next to her bed, half asleep, when I heard paper rustling. I opened my eyes and Margaret was awake, but not confused awake, clear awake. Her eyes were sharp, focused. She was trying to write something with her left hand, the one that still worked. The movements were shaky, painful to watch, but determined. I jumped up. Margaret, honey, you're awake. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw my wife again. Fully there, fully present. She made a gesture with her hand, like she was writing. I grabbed a notebook and pen, held them for her, and slowly, painfully, she wrote 3 words. Get the box. I knew what box. Under our bed, we kept a small wooden box. Just our most important things. Birth certificates, old photos, my war medals. I pulled it out, brought it to her. She pointed at the bottom. There was an envelope I'd never seen before. My name on it, in her handwriting, but steadier than what she'd just written. This had been written before the stroke. I opened it right there. The letter said, My dearest Joseph, if you're reading this, I'm gone or close to it. I've hidden this because I knew you'd argue with me, try to talk me out of it. But I need you to listen. If I ever have a stroke or become unable to care for myself, unable to be me anymore, I don't want to linger. I've seen it happen to too many people. I watched my own mother forget who she was, forget who we were, and I won't do that. I won't put you through that. In this envelope is information about how to help me go peacefully if I can't do it myself. It's legal in other places. I've made arrangements. All you have to do is say yes. I know this is the hardest thing I've ever asked you. I know you'll want to keep me here. Keep trying. But Joseph, my love, my life, if you really love me, you'll let me go with dignity. You'll remember me as I was, not as a shell. This is my choice, my last choice. Please respect it. I love you more than every star in the sky. Thank you for 75 years of stars. You're a Margaret. The letter fell from my hands. I looked at her and she was crying, silent tears running down her face. But she was nodding yes, asking me, begging me, what would you have done? Can you even imagine the person you love most in the world asking you to help them die, asking you to let them go? I won't tell you exactly what happened next. Some things are too private, too sacred. But I will tell you this. I held her hand. I told her I loved her. I told her about every beautiful moment we'd shared. I sang to her our wedding song, even though I can't carry a tune to save my life. And as the sun came up on March 18th, she took her last breath in my arms. Peaceful, no pain, no fear, just love. The police came. Of course they did. There was an investigation. Weeks of questions, lawyers, stress. My children were furious with me. How could you, Dad? How could you give up? They didn't understand. They didn't read the letter. Eventually, it was ruled natural causes. The stroke had done enough damage that her death was inevitable anyway. The timing was just convenient, and the truth stayed between me and Margaret and God. That letter is still in my drawer. I look at it sometimes when I miss her so much I can barely breathe. And I think about what she asked me to do. What I did do. Was it right? Was it wrong? I don't know. I'm not God. I'm not a judge. I was just a husband who loved his wife and wanted her to be free from suffering. Would I give all my wealth to have her back? In a heartbeat. Every penny, every possession. I'd live in a cardboard box if it meant one more day with her. But the thing is, that's not how life works. We don't get to bargain with death. We don't get to rewrite the ending. All we get is the time we have, and what we choose to do with it. So here's my final advice. The thing I want you to take from this old man's story. Love people while they're here. Don't wait until they're sick or dying to tell them what they mean to you. Don't assume you have tomorrow. Don't let stupid arguments fester. Don't hold grudges. Don't be too proud to apologize. Don't be too busy for the people who matter. Because one day, and that day comes faster than you think, they'll be gone. And you'll be sitting in a chair with a letter in your hand, wishing you'd said more, done more, loved more. Every single person you love is temporary. Every single one, including you. We're all just passing through. So make it count. Make them feel loved. Make them feel seen. Make them feel like they matter. Because they do. They really do. Margaret taught me how to live. And in the end, she taught me about the hardest kind of love there is. The love that lets go. The love that says, your peace matters more than my comfort. Your dignity matters more than my need to hold on. I'm 103 years old. I've lived through a war, a depression, countless presidents, the moon landing, computers, the internet, all of it. I've seen the world change in ways I never imagined. But the one constant, the one thing that never changes, is this: love is all that matters. In the end, when you're taking your last breath, you won't think about your car or your house or your job. You will think about the people you loved and who loved you back. Margaret has been gone for 3 years, and I still set a cup of coffee out for her every morning. Force of habit, I guess. Or maybe hope. Maybe I'm just not ready to accept that she's really gone. The house is quiet now. Too quiet. I talk to her anyway. Tell her about my day. About the grandkids. About the news. Crazy old man talking to ghosts. But maybe that's what love is in the end. An echo that never quite fades. A presence that remains even in absence. I don't know how much longer I have. Could be days, could be years. God's got his own timeline, and I'm not privy to it. But I'm not afraid. I'm tired. Like Margaret was tired. I'm ready to see her again, if there's an afterward. Ready to hold her hand and tell her I did okay. I kept going. I honored her memory, ready to rest. But until that day comes, I'll keep waking up. Keep making 2 cups of coffee. Keep telling my stories to anyone who listen. Because maybe, just maybe, somebody out there needs to hear this. Somebody's taking their spouse for granted. Somebody's holding a grudge over something stupid. Somebody's too busy to call their parents. And maybe this old man's story will wake them up before it's too late. The letter is still in my drawer. I'll probably be buried with it. It's nobody else's business. It's between me and Margaret. But I wanted you to know it exists. I wanted you to understand that love isn't always easy or pretty or simple. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and painful. Sometimes it asks you to make choices that will haunt you forever. But you make them anyway, because love is worth it. Every difficult, beautiful, terrible, Wonderful moment of a dot, so go. Close this video, put down your phone, go find whoever you love. Hug them, tell them. Don't wait, don't assume they know. Say the words, I love you, you matter, thank you for being in my life. Say it like you mean it, because you do. Say it like they might not be here tomorrow, because they might not be. None of us are promised tomorrow. And if you're lucky enough to find someone who makes you feel alive, who sees you, really sees you, hold on to them. Choose them every day. Weather the storms together. Forgive the mistakes. Build a life brick by brick, moment by moment. Make memories. Make it count. Because in the end, love is all we take with us. Everything else burns away. Everything else is dust. But love echoes forever. In the stories we tell, the lives we touched, the hearts we changed. Margaret O'Connor Hawkins. September 23rd, 1923 to March 18th, 2022. 75 years of marriage, a lifetime of love, and a legacy that will outlive us both. I would give all my wealth to have her back, but since I can't, I give you this instead. The truth about love. The real, hard, beautiful truth. Take it, learn from it, and for God's sake, don't waste the time you have. Thank you for listening to an old man ramble. Now go love somebody. That's all that matters. That's all that ever mattered.